Fam, good morning. What is going on? It is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Can I get a roll tide inside the comment box? I appreciate you guys being here today, right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Now, as you know, yesterday, Alabama had a really big flip in the evening time, which I thought was going to happen. Ivan Taylor flipping to Alabama wasn't shocking news by any stretch of the imagination. And the flips work both ways. So we're going to talk about Ivan Taylor flipping from Michigan. I appreciate you guys being here. We're going to talk about Jalen Milroe this season, what he's done. I just put out a video talking about Jalen Milroe this season. Got people active inside the comment box. Talk about Alabama and Oklahoma a little bit more. Chris still calling for Naheem O for the flip. I appreciate you guys being fan funders of Bama Football on YouTube. Think about supporting Bama Football on YouTube via a fan funder. So right now, if you hit the chat box, you can see options to become a fan funder. I really appreciate you guys. It allows me to be a content creator here on Bama Football on YouTube. We're going to talk about the college football playoffs just a little bit. Where will Alabama be tonight? Some hypothetical situations. More and more, it looks like we know what's going to happen with Alabama football, right? It looks like SEC championship game. We'll talk about a couple scenarios. And Bama, we'll look at the top three on defense. I dove into the Pro Football Focus numbers. I'm gonna show it a couple different ways. I'm going to show you by the most snaps. And then I'm going to show you by the top overall grades. All right. Then the kickoff time against Auburn was released yesterday. 2:30 here at Bryant-Denny Stadium. You know what? On the back end of the week, it looks like it's starting to cool down a little bit. The endless fall or the late summer, whatever. I've been enjoying the weather, although today was absolutely pouring. There was this big storm that came in this morning, and it was absolutely soaking wet this morning. Josh Miller starts off the show saying, "Do you realize Auburn has the most power to destroy the SEC this season and the playoff picture? Texas A&M to end the year." And that's what I'm thinking about, too, is like Auburn, everything that's gone wrong with their season outside of recruiting, they have this opportunity. I don't know if you're going to salvage the season where they are in the SEC, but I mean, if they are going to end the year, they're going to try to take everyone down with them, right? And that would be by beating Texas A&M. You know, I think Texas A&M is only a 2.5-point favorite. And then, of course, if they're able to derail Alabama. Think about becoming a fan funder right here on Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys. Should be it's pinned at the top. Today is an opportunity to become a fan funder. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for allowing me to be a content creator right here on Bama Football on YouTube. This is what I do for my livelihood. I appreciate you guys supporting me. Thank you so much. So let's talk about the weather before we talk about Ivan Taylor. All right, and this is courtesy of North Alabama Storm Chase, who, by the way, might be having his own show on the weekends to talk a little weather. All right. So for the tailgate, you got 62 degrees, feels like 62. For kickoff in Norman, Oklahoma, 55. I would imagine at this point in time, it would have been a little bit colder down on the plains. That's that temperature is fantastic. And then you got the fourth quarter, 51 degrees. I like this. The three formats. Good job, North Alabama Storm Chase. I like that. Follow him on Facebook as well. Okay, so Ivan Taylor flips to Alabama. Let's discuss it real quick because recently you had three commitments that flipped other ways from Alabama. Caleb Cunningham went to Ole Miss. Dawson Merritt went to Nebraska. Turbo Rogers to Ohio State. Those seem. I was kind of surprised, to be honest, about Caleb Cunningham. I thought out of those couple of guys that Alabama would be able to retain Caleb Cunningham. The good news, the silver lining is all these wide receivers coming back for Alabama next season. But Ivan Taylor, and I'm sure you've read your recruiting sites, and they had pinned this down for a while. So it wasn't like shocking. I think what kind of caught me off guard, I didn't anticipate it to happen last night. Luckily, I just happened to be live on the evening time, so we caught it. So he was committed to Michigan since July, but before that, he was committed to Notre Dame. And I think anytime you get a flip from, one of the Big Ten schools or whatever, it's interesting to look at for a couple different reasons, specifically Michigan. I mean, they won the national championship last year. But you see how quickly things can fall off the rails. I mean, nobody's even talking about Michigan anymore. I mean, they just won the national championship, right? He's a 4-star safety, the number 7 safety in the country. And from what I saw this morning, and I don't know, maybe we do some quick research. Rivals and 24/7, I don't know where they have Alabama right now, but I saw that On3, when I just looked at On3 this morning, it had Alabama back at number 1. I saw them back at number 2 last night. I tried to refresh, but 1 or 2, they're up at the top of the rankings, right? That's the thing, Jarvis, and you bring up a good point. Michigan goes 15-0 last season, and now we're not even talking about them. That's what's so amazing about Alabama. Think about this. Michigan had to replace their coach as well, a coach that was already on staff. Alabama had to go outside, rebuild its entire staff, lost a ton of the transfer portal, and here we are with Alabama making a strong case to still make the SEC championship game, right? Still very relevant in college football. But Michigan, that's the foundation that exists here with the Crimson Tide. Appreciate you guys being here, 99 of you. Hit the thumbs up. Today is an opportunity to become a fan funder on Bama Football on YouTube. What that means is you can support the show, support me. See the comment box. It's also pinned atop the comment box, like $2.99 a month. I appreciate you guys. I'm trying to build that up. This is what I do for a livelihood. So if you like the content, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Remember, free to watch, definitely not free to produce. Courtney Morgan, sometimes, when the season gets going, we forget about some of these guys that are really key parts of the coaching staff. Like the director of personnel. There's so many people behind the scenes. I think we just think Kalen DeBoer, Nick Sheridan, Kane Womack, and the assistant coaches. But like Courtney Morgan, he'll be a name that we continue to talk about more as we get to December 4th. Into this early signing period, and once the season's done. He's got the daunting task of building up the roster, right? Recruiting. And I don't think there's anybody out there that holds another GM spot that is as talented and connects with the players as well as Courtney Morgan. So you really have an ace recruiter that serves as this GM position. And from my understanding, Ivan Taylor really likes Courtney Morgan. Courtney Morgan's done an amazing job in this first year. And I think, I wouldn't imagine he gets recruiter of the year. That usually goes to an actual assistant coach. But I think in terms of building this recruiting squad, I think Courtney Morgan could be one of the recruiters of the year. That would be interesting if a general manager landed it. He's the son of Ike Taylor. Ike Taylor played in the NFL. I think he's a 2-time Super Bowl champ, right? I like this too. He's the first commitment out of the state of Florida, which is wild because under Coach Saban had such a pipeline to Florida. I still think it's important to retain a pipeline to Florida. I get it. West Coast ties, and you have some really talented players coming in from California, even Texas. But we can't forget about Florida. And we can't forget about the state of Alabama. I know. I think we have a difference in opinion when I talk about in-state recruiting. And I don't know if it's because Auburn is cleaning up in in-state recruiting. I'm not happy about that, to be honest. If there's one thing that I'm not really happy about, I'm not happy about key in-state guys going elsewhere, specifically to Auburn. I've always felt that in-state guys should go to, the top in-state guys, you should get those guys. And I think Coach Saban did that. He made that a point to get in-state guys. I don't want to lose that. Antonio, what's up, man? Antonio brings up the fact he's like, Drake Kirkpatrick and now Ivan Taylor. Their dads are some dogs in the secondary. And that's another great point. Kind of leads into my next point right here is Ivan Taylor joins Dejon Lee, Chuck McDonald. Those are some key elements in this class of 2025 recruiting, right? Chuck McDonald and Dejon Lee, both out of the state of California. Yeah, see, Jarvis, I'm with you. Got to keep that fence around, but, it seems like that's been tough to do within the last, I don't know, basically after Ryan Williams. Justin DeBoer, what's up, man? You see what I'm saying? After Ryan Williams, the most heavily coveted commit ever in Alabama, after he signed and was sealed to Bama, it's like all the in-state guys started going other places, which is crazy because look at what Alabama's done for Ryan Williams and the brand of Ryan Williams. And look what Ryan Williams has done for Alabama. Maybe that'll change. But I like where the secondary is. You know what? And I'm not trying to scare anybody here. It's just the way that college football works. I mean, Mo Lindquist, man, I think it's very imperative that you keep him. I think it'll be hard because, man, he coached at Buffalo. When you hear him speak, he seems like a head coach. He is a head coach. You have him as a head coach. Colin Hitchler on there as well. Man, I'd love to play for Mo Lindquist. Kevin inside the comment box says it's all about the NIL bag. Yeah, I think I have no intel on what I'm about to say in terms of Turbo Rogers. But Ohio State has bags of cash. I think Ole Miss, Ole Miss has bags of cash. Auburn has bags of cash. I think with the player like Turbo is probably, I don't really know their depth chart that well. But here at Alabama, I think it'd be hard for him if he wanted to come play running back or wide receiver. When would you get onto the field if you're Turbo Rogers? Seriously. You're going to play over any of those, maybe as a scat back type wide receiver? You can't do that here. Bubba Hampton can barely get on the field, right? He just got here. Kobe Prentice can barely get on the field. So what, are you going to play running back? Okay. You barely get the ball to Richard Young, at least this year. Daniel Hill, we don't really see him. So when Kevin Riley, you know what? Kevin Riley looks fast. I didn't realize Kevin Riley was that fast. He's really fast. So you get paid and you can play elsewhere, maybe a little bit faster. I don't know. Dave, what's up, man? I appreciate you being here. We got 140 on. If you guys think about becoming a fan funder, Bama Football on YouTube, hit the link, which is pinned up top. I appreciate you guys. We're pushing that today. Inside the comment box. Super chats also appreciate it. Thank you very much for joining today. Talking a little Ivan Taylor. Really big flip, to be honest. And like I said at the bottom, the flips go both ways. You're going to have guys flip from Alabama. You're going to have guys flip to Alabama, and it kind of works the same way as the transfer portal, right? You're gonna have guys hit the transfer portal, and when that point in time, when that happens, it's going to hurt to talk about guys leaving. You know, because you hype these guys up, you're excited to see them play. And guys are going to go elsewhere. I think it's going to happen at pretty much every single position, but remember, it works both ways. Here's something to think about. I don't have it like written out on the show, but I started thinking about this last night when I started going over the linebackers here at the University of Alabama. So you have Deontay Lawson and Jahad Campbell, which will leave, right? You have Jeremiah Alexander up next. Justin Jefferson will leave. Justin Okoronkwo, Caden Jones. It seems a little thin at the inside linebacker position for next season. That would be an area I would imagine that Alabama goes to the transfer portal for an inside linebacker. So maybe when we're kind of playing Clue in terms of like that's the beautiful thing about transfer portal. You don't have any idea who is going to enter the transfer portal and who you're going to pull out of the transfer portal. But I would imagine kind of piecing things together, inside linebacker would be an area that I'd be curious to see if they go for a little bit more experience. All right, next topic. Now, I said this, I just put out a video about Jalen Milroe and Alabama's offense, okay? And it got people talking, all right? Like, really talking. Some people, it's polarizing because of the stats that he puts up and the way that Milroe runs the offense. Let me read the stats, first of all. This is not opinion. These are all, everything you see right here is fact. Okay? And then I'm going to provide my opinion based off this. Because I started thinking about it yesterday. I was like, what is Alabama's offensive identity? And I asked last night, I was like, if you were to describe like Alabama's offense to somebody who's never seen it before, what would it be? And then I was like, man, you know what? It's Jalen Milroe. It's his show. There was a point during the season where even I felt that another quarterback, I felt that Ty should come in at some point just to kind of like maybe change things up a little bit, maybe like reinvigorate stuff. That was obviously a dumb call on my end. The coaches did a really good job staying with Milroe and letting him get out of that little slump that he was in. They're coaches. I am not. So this season, Jalen Milroe has 2,200 yards passing. And the little star indicates that it leads the team in each category. Rushing yards, he has 608. Touchdowns, he has 32. Actually has 15 passing, which leads the team, and 17 rushing, which leads the team. The rushing attempts, he has 120, which is, what, I think 30 more carries than Jam Miller. All that leads the team. You take Jalen Milroe out of this offense right now, man, considering the troubles that the right side of the offensive line has, I don't know, you know. I don't know where Alabama's offense is. I think it's still highly productive. I don't know if it's the 10th highest scoring offense in the country. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. That's hypothetical. What's going to be interesting is this offense is going to be completely different next season. Completely different. When Milroe goes to the NFL, let me ask you, inside the comment box, just us chatting here, is Milroe a first-round pick in the NFL draft or a second round? Type first for first, type second for second. Man, I think at one time he was definitely falling in mock drafts. I haven't seen where Mel Kiper has him. I know there's a bunch of different guys that are Mel Kiper. He's just one of those guys synonymous with the NFL draft. All right. Craig is saying second. A lot of early seconds. All right. I don't know. And you know what? I think right now Jalen has stabilized his draft stock with his recent performance against LSU specifically. And I think maybe the rest of the way, we'll see where he goes in terms of taking it. This is the thing. If Jalen Milroe, let's say, ends the season as a second-round pick, he's going to, in my opinion, he's going to get elevated to a first-round pick once the NFL Combine comes around. Because at the NFL Combine, he will show you what he has in store. Oh, wow. So Mel Kiper has him as a third-rated quarterback. That's a first-round guy. Can you imagine Milroe at the Combine? And that's the difference with Jalen Milroe compared to all the other quarterbacks, including the quarterbacks that are on the roster. Nobody has the overall athleticism that Jalen Milroe has. Look, you know what you're going to get from Quinn Ewers, right? You know what we knew what we're going to get from Garrett Nussmeier. Like, preparing for those guys, tighten up in the secondary, get pressure on the quarterback. They're going to get theirs, right? But with Jalen Milroe, like, you don't, like, stop. Can you imagine trying to prepare for him? It would be terrible. It would be terrifying if you're a defensive coordinator trying to prepare for a 6'2", 235-pound quarterback that runs a 4.3 40 time. He ran 22 miles an hour against LSU. I think his deep ball accuracies kind of trended a little bit down, but now that he's running more. He's ran the football 120 times. That's 30 more times than Jam Miller. And they're starting to have more and more designed runs for Jalen Milroe. So that's the offense. And unless you can stop him, I mean, that's look, the recipe to Alabama winning a national championship comes down to three things. Jalen Milroe's play and limiting mistakes. Mistakes are ending drives on a turnover, right? Fumbling the ball. What's up, Case? I appreciate you being here. Jalen Milroe's play. Number two, the defense continuing to force turnovers. Ranked number 3 in the country in forcing turnovers, 24 on the season, 3rd in the nation. And I think time of possession somehow, some way. And some good special teams play. You do all those things right, what team's going to beat them? There might be a team out there for sure. There's a few contenders for sure. But I don't know. If the defense continues to give Jalen Milroe opportunities on offense, they're going to score. Period. Man, who has an early pick and needs a quarterback? How about the Giants? They're starting Tommy DeVito this coming Sunday. The Raiders. Man, look, the Patriots. Play fantasy football and you'll understand which teams need quarterbacks. All these quarterbacks, man, they're soft. That's the other thing. My last thing about Jalen Milroe is the wear and tear of this dude. This guy, like, man, he's so durable. Todd in here, Todd Tipton talking recruiting, he's saying, I don't think we lose any more commitments and pick up 2 to 3 more. Yeah, I think Alabama's at 21 right now. Craig, I think you're right, man. I think a good landing spot would be the Giants for him. I really do. All right, as we zoom in a little bit more on this game between Alabama and Oklahoma, let me ask you inside the comment box. Do you think that Alabama, I think I asked this yesterday, I'll ask it again. You think that Alabama beats Oklahoma by more than 14 points? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'm starting to feel highly confident going into this game. I'm like, the rat poison, I already ate the rat poison. I'm feeling too overconfident. If you knew my confidence level, I'd be yelled at by one of the coaches. Seriously, I am so confident about this game. I hope none of the players hear it. I hope they continue to stay focused and listen to Coach Kalen DeBoer. But I have eaten the rat poison, and I'm already past this game. And I've played sports all throughout my life. I know better, and I know a game on the road during this point in time is challenging. I get it. I'm already talking about Auburn. I'm talking about the playoffs, but I already ate the rat poison. It's crazy. I'm disappointed in myself. But the reason that I think that Alabama will absolutely destroy Oklahoma is a couple things. When I started looking at a couple key pieces to this game, look at point 3 right here. If you could see it, Oklahoma has allowed 41 sacks this season. That is the worst in college football. So then I was like, before I show you their schedule, then I was like, okay, well, let's look at it, team by team. Look at the offense. Now, they fired their offensive coordinator already. And look at what Alabama, okay, just add these two equations. This is why I think I'm eating the rat poison. Alabama's offense has allowed 2 touchdowns in the last 12 quarters of play. 3 games. Oklahoma's offense is ranked 117th in the country. Oklahoma's offensive line has allowed 41 sacks, which is worse than college football. Jahad Campbell is on an absolute tear. I'm going to ask you who you think Alabama's top 3 players are in just a second. I think it could be like a 41-10 type game. 45-10. Something like that. I guess their defense, 23rd in the country. And that comes from Brent Venables. He's been a quality defensive coordinator, right? That's how I envision him. That's why I have respect for him in that regard. I've always heard the name Venables, and I've thought quality defense. Think about that. 41 sacks per game. Or 41 sacks this season. My bad. 41 sacks per game. They're down their defense 36. Alabama's been improving on this other side. The only thing that makes me freak out is the 128th on penalties. They're still winning, though. I think that comes out to 9 penalties a game. Thank you, Bill. Bill's walking me back into reality. He's like, Kyle, I have to disagree. It won't be a destruction. Bama wins, but it'll be like 30-24. See, and you know what? I think if the game is close, it seems like Bama is like held to a higher standard, right? Like, this is why I say this all the time. But if Alabama was to beat Oklahoma 30-24, they probably fall in the rankings, like slide. Oregon just barely beat Wisconsin, and no one's talking about it. I don't listen to anybody. I listen to some things Pate says, like on like short clips, but I don't listen to any other like major college football people. Did anyone say anything about the Oregon barely beating Wisconsin? What was the thought process or the theory? Why aren't they punished? Maybe they'll be punished tonight on the college football playoff show. I don't know. Who are they going to rank them behind? Miami? I still think you need some style points. I feel like right now everybody just has a microscope on Alabama. I feel like it's like kind of pressurized. The other part is teams keep losing and Alabama keeps moving up. If we look to Oklahoma's schedule overall, I'll go full screen on this. So they started out beating Temple. Hey, Brian Stacks, what's up, man? I appreciate you joining the Fan Funder Club. Thank you so much. Welcome to the club. They beat Temple. They beat Houston, just hung on. They beat Tulane, feeling good. And then, you know what? I watched that game against Tennessee, and it wasn't like they just... That was an interesting game. I didn't feel like Tennessee absolutely dominated. Maybe it was early in the season, whatever. They lose by 10. They beat Auburn by 6. And then kind of the wheels fall off against some pretty good teams. I mean, shoot. They lose to Texas. They lose. You know who's been a surprise this year? Yeah, you know what? One team that I would not want to play right now again, like if you had to do rematches, is South Carolina. That team's good. that team is good. Like, you got out of there and you're like, all right, we're not playing you guys again. They're tough. Then they lose to Ole Miss, right? Beat up on poor Maine. Maine should have been the Lobsters. What are they, the Bears? They messed up there. Then they lost to Missouri. So, I don't know. I mean, that's a tough little stretch of schedule. Things started falling off. I don't know. That's where things stand with Oklahoma. So, a team that probably, as Coach Saban says, still has pride and performance in their play. A quality coach, Brent Venables. I watched some of his press conference. I think I might load what he said going into Alabama later on today, maybe around midday. So stay tuned for that. Yo, Beamer is pretty wild for South Carolina. Pretty quirky type dude. But he's fiery. South Carolina, they're playing good football right now. Okay, so I was asking earlier, and inside the comment box, can you please list your top 3 defensive players for Alabama? Your top 3 defensive players for Alabama. Kaysen with the $9.99 super chat. He says, I've served rat poison on a silver platter. We're beating Oklahoma out of the helmet this Saturday. I appreciate it, Case. Thanks for supporting the show, man. And if you aren't a fan funder, now is an opportunity. Go inside the chat, and at the pinned comment is directions to become a fan funder. Just $2.99 to support the YouTube channel. I appreciate you guys. You're supporting me. All right, so what I'm asking right now is for you guys to post your top 3 players on the defensive side of the ball. In the meantime, Kevin is asking me, Kyle, what is your gut feeling about the Oklahoma game? Well, I said earlier that I've already eaten all the rat poison. I think that Alabama continues its hot streak. I think they start out really hot on the road. I think you get a heavy dosage of the run game. I think there's big plays, and I think Oklahoma finds itself in a hole, and I think that big plays on defense, considering that Oklahoma has allowed 41 sacks this season, I think that Alabama sends a lot of pressure, creates turnovers, and I think it gets ugly even at halftime. Alabama, I think, is right now turning into a buzzsaw. And the thing about Alabama football is they haven't played their best football yet. I think they're getting closer to that. I think this is another step in the right direction. But, yeah, I think it could be a lot of big plays on defense. And I think Milroe, another 4-touchdown performance, to be honest. So Max is saying Jahad Campbell, Damani Jackson, LT Overton. Brian is saying Jahad Campbell, Overton more. Seen a lot of Campbell and Overton. Q-Rob. Oh, I like that. Yeah, thanks for adding Q-Rob. Jahad, Damani. This season, I think when you look to kind of unsung heroes, I think Q-Rob will be one of those guys. He had a really good season. It was kind of quiet. He goes out with an injury, which, arm injury, which ended his season, unfortunately. 4 sacks this season. I think he's currently tied with Jahad Campbell in terms of leading sacks. But let me go full screen on this so you guys can see what we're looking at here. So this is from Pro Football Focus. And what I did here was I sorted it by total. So what total means right here, if you can see this indicator on the screen, that is total equals snaps. So I just sorted it by the players that played the most snaps this season so far. And I only went to 10, so it fit on the screen. Malachi Moore played in 659 snaps. That's a ton of snaps. And when you have more snaps, the better data we have and Pro Football has to grade the players accordingly. So if you have, this is how I'll tell you if you're like a high-level NFL player. When you have a lot of snaps right here, total, and your grade is very high. And anything in the 80 is outstanding. 78, like that's good. This is like Malachi Moore is fantastic. Okay, so let's talk about the data now. So I circled the players right now that I feel are among the top players on the defense based off their grade, based off what I've seen, and based off the total number of snaps. So, for example, Malachi Moore, absolutely. The guy plays almost 700 snaps and his grade is 84.6. You bet you. That is absolutely fantastic. Henry Hubbard in with the super chat. I appreciate you being here. Nice last name, by the way. And then you have Deontay Lawson, right? I think he might be into that unsung hero category as well. Played a lot of snaps and Pro Football grade right behind Jahad Campbell. Jahad Campbell and Deontay Lawson, I still feel that is the most dangerous inside linebacker duo in all of college football. I'm going to sleep on that. Like that is that. And then you know what? How about Damani Jackson? I'm trying to talk about him more and more. This guy came in, and I think he is playing that guy. Like the guy we expected him to, 100%. This guy came in a secondary that needed a lot of help, needed a vet, and he's played great. Xavier Brown, I didn't list him. His grade's a little low, but the guy's a freshman, man. Like, the guy is a freshman. Not to say that he's not doing well. It's just like, let's give him a little bit of time. Keon Sabb, grade of 65.5. LT Overton, quality transfer addition. Him and Damani Jackson coming in this year for the defense. Imagine the defense without Damani Jackson. I want to freak you out, but imagine the defense without Damani. You'd have Zabrin and you had Jay Mbakwe, which is fine, but those guys are young. Patriot Life in with another 10 spot. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much, Patriot Life. Patriot Life has been a strong supporter of Bama football on YouTube. We appreciate you, Patriot Life. I guess I didn't realize that Jameer and Lathan had played as many snaps. But look at the difference between Tim Keenan and Jameer and Lathan, right? 83.6. Tim Keenan, man, like this guy has had a really great year. Outstanding. All right, so now what I did was, since we're looking at the data points, I went and I added the players based on just overall grade, okay? So I just piped in overall grade, but I also circled the amount of snaps. So again, let me explain this. On Pro Football Focus, if you have a low number of grade, it doesn't really give you the best data point. For example, like Caden Jones, he's only played 30 snaps. He has a high grade, but how would he perform in 300 snaps? Right? So same thing with Zay Mincy. And not to pick on Zay Mincy, but I've seen him, he's still in the growth development. Guys have got behind him a bunch of times. Right? 6 games, 65 snaps. So you get what I'm saying. But I do look at this up top. Bray comes in 235. That's enough snaps to start talking about him. And when he has the highest grade on the team right here in 235, that's noteworthy. Absolutely noteworthy, for sure. 90.1, that's the highest grade on the team right now. He hasn't played the same amount of snaps as Malachi Moore, right? But let me just show you something, okay? Let's go back to the other screen. Keon Sabb played in 455 snaps right here, okay? You see what I'm saying? 455. And when you tab over 235 and you're getting 90.1. Now, something also to think about too is Bray has gone against Missouri, LSU, and Mercer. So but the data is the data, right? Here's our Q-Rob out for the season, but look, 246, and he had a very high Pro Football Focus grade as well. 4 sacks. And again, some other guys that we talked about on the last screen. But I just thought that was interesting to see, Bray Hubbard with that grade up there of 90.1 and 235. Still a lot of football left, and, I would imagine that teams understand that he's played 3 games. They'll probably challenge him, but still noteworthy for sure. Yeah, and I think you're right, Jarvis. I think look, if I am developing a game plan to attack Alabama, I'm still challenging their secondary, and I'm still going to challenge Bray Hubbard. I still am. But go ahead, because the way that the defense is playing over the last 3 games, I haven't seen as many guys getting beat over the top. That comes from schematics. Maybe it's more pass pressure. I don't know. But compared to the first 4 or 5 games, guys were getting beat every single play, it felt like. All right, let's look at the college football playoffs, which come out tonight, the rankings, okay? The AP rankings are just rankings to kind of chew on and talk about. This is a playoff indicator. Anybody can do this. I encourage you to go do it. ESPN Playoff Predictor. This gives you an idea of how they see teams right now, based off math and, formulas and all that stuff. Do we agree with everything on here? I don't. I mean, Indiana, come on. If I ever went to a national show, people from Indiana would just hate me. I just don't feel, look, to be honest, for the drama, I hope that Indiana beats Ohio State. Okay? But I know it's not going to happen. Look, Penn State, I don't think anybody in here thinks that James Franklin is going to make a run and win the championship. Same thing with Notre Dame. Is there anyone in here? Pretendiana. Is there anyone in here? And look, college football is better for whatever reason when Notre Dame is in the fold, or Colorado. Here you have Colorado. People like those teams to be good. But I don't think there's any college football analyst that's on a national board. It's oh yeah, Notre Dame. This is the season that they're going to just run the table and win the championship. There's nobody thinks that, I don't think. Maybe Indiana beats Ohio State. I don't know. Maybe Notre Dame. They don't even play in a conference. They're going to beat up on our poor Army team. I think this is how I ranked the teams a couple days ago. I was traveling, so maybe I was tired when I put this together. But I went off the formula that the College Football Playoff Committee has still been using. So I have Oregon, Texas, BYU, Miami. I could see Miami being at 3rd since BYU just lost. I have Ohio State, Penn State, Indiana. Not that I agree with that. It's just currently how the committee has those teams ranked. Notre Dame, Alabama, Ole Miss, Georgia, Boise State. There's the AP ranking, and this is created Photoshop. So this is this is fake. I created this. I'm really good at editing photos. So I created this. This is not the official bracket. So viewer discretion advised. If you're out there and you're oh, this is it. It's not, but based off kind of the parameters and what they've done before, this is what I'm going in with. And again, I could swap out. I guess I did put BYU at 4 on this map. Does anybody see any glaring things that they would change? I circle BYU and Tennessee to the left because each of those teams just lost. I would imagine I can't see Tennessee being in the rankings tonight, considering that they just lost. Two things seem to happen with these playoff committees. It's like if you play a light schedule, you get rewarded, and if you lose late, you get punished. Do you agree with that? Yes or no? Let me say it again. If you play a light schedule, you get rewarded, and if you lose late, you get punished. I think that, the more that I've thought about it, I'm not too worried if Alabama makes the SEC championship game and they win or they lose, they're going to be in because they got to the championship game in the SEC. And I think the committee will understand at that point in time, and there's enough rationale, hopefully, within that committee to where the SEC is a far greater conference than these other ones based off talent. And the person who walked me off the ledge, I was listening to Josh Pate's show. And he actually has 5 teams in from the SEC. But the most valid point that he made, which made sense to me, is if they got to the championship game and let's say Alabama lost, they're not going to leave the SEC number 2 out of the playoffs. I was like, genius. That's it. I still, but I think we'll kind of understand where they see things with Tennessee losing late. And there's still got to be some shakeup. The thing is I don't know how the tiebreakers will work. Has anybody posted that? What happens if Ohio State wins, they beat Indiana, and then you have Ohio State with 1 loss, Oregon so I would imagine it'd be Oregon and Ohio State for the big championship, right? And then you're going to have basically, and if Ohio State was to win, then you have, I guess in that conference, you would have 4 teams with 1 loss. Jeez. Maybe it should just be the big conference versus the SEC. Call it a day. Because a group of 5, that Boise State team, they have to make the playoffs if they're the highest ranked group of 5, right? Or, I don't know, let's say it's Army or whatever. Appreciate you guys being here on the show today. We hit on Ivan Taylor flipping from Michigan to Bama. We talked about Jalen Milroe and his ridiculous numbers this season. Bama versus Oklahoma, we hit on that. Go and tell all your friends that Oklahoma has allowed 41 sacks this year, or don't tell them and bet on the game. We talked about Bama's top 3 on defense. One thing that we didn't hit on was Alabama versus Auburn in the kickoff time. That's at 2:30. How you guys feeling about that 2:30 after this game? You like the Iron Bowl is cool either way. I would prefer the Iron Bowl to be, I guess, at the back end of the evening schedule, right? That 6:30. But at 2:30 should be fine. I don't know what the temperature will be at that point in time. I'd imagine the temperature starts to dip just a little bit more. Sorry, I'm tying my shoe. So I like it at 2:30. I think there's so much on the line. That game always freaks me out. I used to have a lot of confidence always going into the Auburn game, and Alabama will still be favored. I don't know how much, probably by 10.5 or something like that. But that's just a rivalry game, and rivalry games are always like that. Whether it's junior high, high school, college, whatever, pro, NFL, rivalry games that's why they're rivalry games. Jarvis has Bama minus 14 over Auburn as well. All right, so Alabama in the back end of the schedule, 14-point favorites against Oklahoma and against Auburn. Bama basketball back in action on Wednesday night against Illinois after a loss to Purdue. And again, if you're out there and you're like, oh, this team wasn't it, no, like slow down. The team is it. That's a tough schedule. Todd chimed in earlier talking about flip season is here. Doesn't feel that there's any guys that are going to flip away from Bama and feels that Alabama could add a couple more. Seems like that's going to be the case. Write down on your calendar that early signing day is December 4th. Remember when signing day, like the real signing day was in February? That now you're like dating yourself if you say that, right? When I was growing up, like February 4th or it was the first Wednesday of February when you were like, you couldn't wait to, and you know what? Oh my goodness, I'm so old. I would go to, and this was, so I graduated in 2002 from high school. I would go read a newspaper. Are people still reading newspapers? Oh my God. And you would see like the long list. Now it's December 4th. It's like December 4th, 5th, and 6th. I think there's like a period, right? Now there is an opportunity to still sign, I think, in that first February. But I mean, right now, if you're an elite prospect, you're signing within that first December 4th window. Max says, bring a Brinks truck to Michael Carroll. See, Michael Carroll, here's some homework for everybody, okay? Go out and type Michael Carroll on Rivals, On 3, 24/7, whatever, and look into the prospect that he is. I'm not the guys who flipped away, yeah, a little bit impactful as we talked about the last couple days. If you were to lose Michael Carroll to Colorado, where he recently was, that's monumental loss. Losing an offensive lineman like that'd be cause for concern. But again, it works both ways, right? Flip. So, but Michael Carroll, he is that guy, 100%. Kevin's like, you're not that old. I graduated from in high school in 1988. All right. Max, did you see Michael Carroll punishing that dude? So there's a clip out. I was going to upload it. I forgot to. So Michael Carroll gets off the ball and he blocks this dude like into the dirt. And then the guy, his helmet flies off and Michael Carroll is just like still on him. Play to the whistle. You know, I think Colorado is going to get theirs, right? They're probably in line to get a quarterback soon. If they get an offensive lineman. I mean, playing for Coach Prime, you know, that's alluring to people. Now that he's winning, if he wins the Big 12 championship, it's only going to be a landing spot for other prospects, honestly. We understand that, but I think my pitch to Michael Carroll, if I'm Alabama, I'm like, look, we understand that, you know, that might be alluring, but this is the route for you here at Alabama. This is the roster for you here at Alabama, and these are the players that you're going to be playing against every single day. Now, can you start over here? Yeah, you can make a run for it. You could earn it. You're not entitled to starting here, but the guys that you're going to go against every single day are going to get you ready for the NFL. Right? The iron sharpens iron. You imagine if the Dallas Cowboys hired Coach Prime? I wonder if Florida State feels if they should have got, you know, Coach Prime. He probably could have saved. I don't know. I mean, Florida State was 13-0 last year. See how quick things change in college football? Michigan didn't lose a game. Florida State was 13-0 up to a point in time, and now look at those programs. And Michigan, like someone inside the comment box said, that they could finish 5-7. And I don't know. You know what? I think I saw a stat that said Florida State has only scored 14 touchdowns this year. Is that right? That can't be right. Jalen Milroe ran in 17 touchdowns by himself. I appreciate you guys being here, rocking with me today. As news happens, I got you covered on Bama Football on YouTube. Look for more short videos. Follow us on our Facebook page. Our Facebook page, pretty active. I guess I should do a probably better job advertising it. And it does have quite a few followers. I'll give you a little taste right here. This is and I guess this is how to find it too. So Alabama Crimson Tide on YouTube. We have 37,000 followers and I guess 15,000 likes, whatever that means. Post like little comments that you'll see me run on here too. Did you know Oklahoma has 41 sacks in the last, blah, blah, blah. So that's a little taste of our Facebook channel. Yeah, no calls. I'll take you guys. I'll take calls probably tomorrow. I take call. Sometimes I do Monday. I do calls. Tuesday I just do the show. Wednesday probably calls. Thursday call. It kind of just it feels like I fill it out. But I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. I was even sitting down today, which I usually don't do. I'm usually standing, but I don't know. It felt like a good show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys stay tuned for more coverage. News as it happens. Probably have a coach interview or a player interview coming up later today. My shows are also available on Spotify and Apple Podcast if you can't catch it. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Jarvis, for reminding me. Tonight, the rankings. Let's see what time before you dip out. Let's see what time the rankings are, and I'll schedule the show. I think I'll schedule the show. College football rankings. Last week they were at 7:30. Let's see what time they are now. College football playoff rankings. Ranking schedule. 1 second, I'm looking up the schedule for tonight. So today is November 19th. So 6 p.m. Central. Yeah, it's 7 to 8 Eastern, so that's 6 Central. I'm in Tuscaloosa, so 6 Central here. So probably go live around that point in time and kick it with you guys and build out the new tournament bracket. All right? All right. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for being here. Definitely drop a thumbs up. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you very much for becoming a fan funder too. I'll put the hyperlink to become a fan funder inside the comment box so you guys can hit it. But I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And have a beautiful day. Coming to you from beautiful Hollywood, Alabama. Kyle Anderson, Alabama.